Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining the League of Women Voters of the Grand Traverse area and our attempt to share the good news about our new membership process. We are recording this. We have muted everybody and we're asking you to put your questions in the chat unless there is something that you need to understand as far as the logistics go. But Alice will be taking us through the PowerPoint and she will answer all your questions. Karen Baker will be monitoring those in the chat. And we are happy to share this and the slides with anybody who is interested. So I'd like to introduce, first of all, Alice Shubin, who has been working through the logistics of all of this since day one. Laura Otwell is our membership chair, and Karen Baker is our communications chair, and she will be the monitor of all this. So at this point in time, thank you all. And Alice, it's up to you now.
All right, let me share my screen. And okay, the PowerPoint that I'm using has been liberally adapted from one that National created. And it is to review the membership process changes that are going to begin as of February 1st. And okay, here we go. The transformation of the membership process and other parts of the league has been ongoing for almost a decade now. And the two sort of driving reasons behind this is recognition that we need to build our league to be bigger and stronger over time, in order to focus on our mission of empowering voters and defending democracy. And so the transformation is intended to put more focus of our time, talent, and funding on our mission and less of it on administrative processes. So it is intended to strengthen the state and local levels by putting more of our dues share to the local and state levels. It is hopefully going to make membership available to more people because of the flexibility in the dues amount that we will discuss as we go through here, and that it will reduce the amount of time that local leagues spend on administrative effort to free up our volunteers for other league work. Okay, here we go. Why are we talking about this now? We are talking about this now because on February 1st, the League of Women Voters membership portal will launch for all leagues. And you, as a member, sometime in February, will receive an email asking you to log on to the League of Women Voters membership portal and claim your membership. And all this means is that you're going to connect your existing membership information with your email. And by doing so, you create a login. One of the big wins about how they've set this up is that you will not need to create one more password to remember. Simply from your email, they will send one of those famous 6-digit codes to your email, and you'll use that code to log in. Any new member will be asked after they join to go through a set of questions, a short survey, to provide information about what you expect from the league and other demographic information. Those questions will be asked of all existing members, at least based on what we're told now, sometime in February. You will get that email asking you to claim your membership, get your code, log in, and fill out this short survey. There are going to be 3 things that members will notice most about this new system. The first is that each member will be able to choose their own dues amount. There will be a minimum of $20 per member per year, and the suggested payment will be $75, which is what the Grand Traverse area dues are now. But members can choose to pay any amount that seems right to them. And I think this is going to, I know many of our members have changes in their financial situation, and the $75 dues can be a barrier. And so having the flexibility, and yet we have other members who could pay way more than 75. And so the flexibility of choosing your own dues amount, I think, is going to open us up to a wider population. It's changing to a self-serve option so that members can enter and update their address, email, phone number when they pay their dues online. You don't have to remember a password, you just work from the code. And if you want to keep paying by check, that will be an option. And local volunteers will continue to enter your name and address and do that behind the scenes database work for you. And then when new members join or when you renew, you'll get an email asking for more information about your interests, demographics, priorities for the league. The questions are optional, but they will help the league focus better on the work that we do together. When it's time to renew, you will receive an email asking you to log in and renew. You'll type in your email, send you a code, you'll log in, and you'll go through the process of selecting your dues amount, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but an option to provide donations. And you will have the option on either or both of those to set it up to auto renew so that you don't have to log in every year if you know that you want to just continue. And you'll get the message that says your dues are about to be paid. So you can always be reminded, oh, nope, I don't want to do that. And you can go in and stop the auto renewal at any time. You will be able to access the National League of Women Voters membership portal through a link on the league website. So you don't have to remember a new place, although I know some of us don't remember where our own website is, but it's there. We've talked about the pay as you pay what you can, pay what you decide, with the minimum of $20. We will continue to have a lifetime membership, so anybody who's been a member for 50 or more years will be a lifetime membership, will be exempt for dues. That's the way it is now, and that will continue. But what we won't have is the other categories. Right now, there's a household membership. You can be the primary or secondary member of a household. You can be a student member. And the decision has been made that all members will be on the same footing. If you're a member, you're a member. And a joining or renewing member will still be able to sign in on behalf of themselves and renew for a second member. And choose the dues amount. So right now, like League of Women Voters, Grand Traverse area, we have a $75 dues plus 25 more for a household. The recommended one will just be simply 150, two people, 75 each. But you can choose to pay whatever you want so that your household total comes to the amount that you want, with a minimum of 40 because it's still a minimum amount of $20 times 2. You can pay online using credit or debit card, or you can pay by ACH, which is an electronic payment that uses the numbers on the bottom of your check. This goes through Stripe, which is a nationally recognized payment processing firm. So the expectation is that it has a high level of security for whether you provide your credit or debit card information or your check information. Members are encouraged to pay by ACH because the fees that the league has to pay to process the online payment will be lower, and therefore more of their dues can go to funding league work. Members will be given the option to cover their fees when they pay their dues. This is pretty standard. If you donate to any nonprofit now, there's almost always a little extra box where you can choose to cover the fees. You can still pay by check. It will require more manual work and more league volunteer time, but we're happy to do it for anybody who would rather pay by check. Ideally, checks will be made out to LWV-US and given to the league treasurer, who will then fill out a form and mail it on to the National League. If you make the check out to League of Women Voters Grand Traverse area, it can still be processed. But all of the money on that check will go towards dues. If you also want, if you're in the habit of paying dues and making a donation at the same time, you'll need to do that on 2 separate checks, because the dues check is going to get mailed to National. The contribution and the donation check would stay here with the local league. The dues split. So a lot of members are not aware of this, but always under the current model, the league pays a fixed amount per member to the state and national league. So if you pay dues to us of 75, right now $55 of that is going off to the state and national. And there's a pretty long delay. So it's often a year or more between the time you pay the dues and the time we have to send a large check off to state or national. Under the new system, the members' dues will be split on a percentage basis at the time the dues are paid. And under the new system, national will keep 33%, state will get 47%, and local will get 20%. And that will happen basically at the time the dues are paid. That split will happen. And because it's technically 3 payments, if you pay $100 in dues and it's on your credit card, you're going to see 3 lines on your credit card. You're going to see a line for $20, a line for $47, and a line for $33. And this is something that we'll continue to work to educate people on, because I mean, I have a hard enough time when I pay stuff and it shows up on my credit card and I'm like, what did I spend $70 on? I didn't spend $70 on anything, when in fact I did. This is going to be genuinely confusing to begin with, because I didn't pay anybody $20 or $33 or $47. I paid $100 and it got split. So we will work to educate people on this. So, and whether you do ACH and it shows up on your bank account statement, or whether it's credit card, it's going to be split 3 ways. And then because dues are now split on 3 ways, paying higher dues is not the same as a donation directly to your local league. When you're paying your dues online, it'll show you this is the dues page, and immediately after that is the donation page. And on the donation page, you can say you want it to go totally to your local league. But the dues are always going to get split in that 3-way process. The other thing that's changing for Grand Traverse is that the entire league nationwide is going to rolling renewal, which means that people's renewal date is 12 months from when they joined, or from when they last paid their dues. And so for most League of Women Voter members, June 30th is our renewal date, and it will continue to be your renewal date. But new members will be up for renewal 12 months after their join date. So, and you don't have to remember this, it's just I'm telling you when you'll see a renewal reminder. Because the renewal reminders are going to be coming by email, and because the way you log on to the portal is by telling them your email and they send you a code to your email and you put the code in, it's really going to work better if each member has their own unique email address. Where we see a problem with this is with household memberships, where one spouse is the active member and their email is the one we have, and we don't have an email for the other spouse. It's not required, it's just going to make it easier if everybody has their own unique email address. And we're reaching out and asking people if they'd like to provide that second email. And a lot of the reason why people don't provide that second email is the spouse doesn't want to receive excessive League of Women Voter messages. It will be possible, it is now, to unsubscribe from everything, and the only thing you get is the renewal email, period, just the membership email. That renewal message comes out 60 days before your expiration. And one thing, if you renew your membership before your expiration date, your next expiration date is pushed forward 1 year from your current. So If you're due to renew June 30th and you renew in May, when you first get that reminder email, you get 14 months because it'll take your June date and push it forward 12 months. It won't penalize you for paying early. If you don't use the internet, or you don't want to use the internet, or you don't want to pay online, that's fine. Nothing will change regarding your membership. The League of Women Voters Grand Traverse or your local league will still reach out to you to remind you to renew. You can still pay by check. And volunteers in League of Women Voters Grand Traverse, it's Ingrid or Alice, will update your online information as needed. And that's it. That's the quick version of what the change is going to mean to members. We will continue to post information about this new process on our website. We will put this recording on our website. And we are going to host office hours both in February and in May. So in February, as soon as those emails start going out, and we know what because we don't right now know what the questions are going to be either. But once we've seen them, we will set up office hours, and those will be either in person at the library for a couple hours or via Zoom, so people can drop in and ask questions about those emails. And then in early May, when the renewal emails are sent out to most of our local members, we'll do that same office hours again. And those details will be on our website so that people can get in-person answers. We will also take questions anytime. So myself, because I'm taking the lead on the transformation, Ingrid as our treasurer, Laura as our membership chair, and Christina as our president are happy to answer questions. And now we are ready for questions from the floor.
Thank you, Alice. And either Karen will read them from the chat, or you can raise your hand and questions will be answered. Thank you.
Anne had a question. She wanted to know about donations. She wanted to know if they could specify to local, state, or national when you make a donation via the portal.
So during the training, this was a little unclear, and I believe that their intention is eventually that you can specify, but I think it's possible right now that it will just go to your local league, that the donations will go to your local league. Christina, Ingrid, other people who sat through the training, do you remember? I think it's an area under development still.
I believe so. I think donations are meant to be an answer to everyone's request. How do I donate to my local league?
Mm-hmm.
And Anne also wanted to know how many years for the lifetime membership.
50.
Mm-hmm. And that's all the questions we have in the chat. Anybody else questions?
And in our league, our membership chair, Laura, will recognize any 50-year members. And we do have a few, as I'm sure you do, in some of your leagues. Maybe not Northern Lower, but you never know. There might have been. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, if you have questions, unmute yourself because I have most people muted.
This is Jan Warren. Can you hear me? I have a question.
Yep. Go ahead, Jan.
Alice, could you remind us the dollar amount that the state and national currently takes out for the per member payments?
So the total is 55, and Christina, I know you remember the split.
Yeah, the split is $32 right now to national, $23 to state, and then the balance of $5 or $20 goes to the local.
Okay, and I know that Alice mentioned it, but I didn't take notes. Can you tell me what the new amounts will be?
So the new amount is the local keeps 20%.
Okay.
The state keeps 47%. And national keeps 33%.
So it's really important for our league that members pay an increased amount of dues because we realize so little money from our dues. That is just my opinion, but it's always been my opinion. And that's why several years ago we raised dues. Initially, we were getting $5 from dues, and we raised at $60, and then we raised the dues to $75.
Yep, we'll get a little more in this split. And the recommended amount is what GTA's current dues rate is. But there is the potential for loss if a lot of people in our league or your leagues opt for the $20 amount. And national will make some leagues whole if there's a significant budget cut, but that won't last forever. So that's why there is the recommended amount of $75.
And sorry, one more question. I know that this decision by National was controversial. And I remember, Christina, you specifically indicating that the state league did not support the recommendation when it was to be made to convention.
Right.
Are there any advantages for this system to our local league?
So I think the intention is that it will reduce the amount of manual administrative work and will free up volunteer resources to work on more league mission,
Related
activities. Yeah.
You mentioned that at the beginning. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's early days yet. Nobody knows what's going to happen with the sliding scale. The hope is that those who can afford more will give more, and that people who can't afford the $75 will no longer be excluded. And so that's the hope. And we really just aren't going to know until we see this unfold. And they've tried really hard to make it, the dues are pay what you can. The donation page is right there. The donation page right now, I believe, defaults to your local. And they've offered for national for 2 years to monitor. And if any local league is financially has a shortfall because of the dues change, national will make that up. And then, like any new system, it needs to be adapted to what information comes in. And there's a question here. So Janice, does that answer your question, Jan?
It does, Alice. Thank you.
And,
Okay.
and if I may, the whole purpose of this at the national level is to increase membership, which will increase our clout as a league.
Right. And so that's hopefully what we'll see. So there's a message or a thing in the chat that says, when a member renews and does not want to do it online, is there a way to print out the renewal forms and questions to fill out and send in? So I don't think there is in the League of Women Voter portal that's focused on the online, but I know our local league is going to continue, just like we have had on our website. We have a form that can be downloaded and filled out, and it has the instructions for where to mail it and how to make out the check. So our website that we're updating has always had, you could choose to join online or choose to join by mail. And the join by mail, we've modified the form so that it includes the pay what you want and some other things. But yes, it's still an option. I mean, there just are a lot of people who would rather not pay online. And in the interest of being inclusive, we'd like to continue to keep including them. Other questions?
I don't know if Anne still has questions about donations? Anne?
Oh, yeah, well, what I wondered is if we want to donate, specifically, well, I mean, we could still maybe send our $75,
Mhm.
but then anything else we donate, it would go to the local league if there's a special place I think you said that. I just
Yeah.
wasn't clear about.
And our website still has a donate tab on it. And anytime you want, you can still go, and those donations definitely go to the local league.
But what if we only sent in like $40 for the first time and then we donated? Would
You
they?
can do that too.
We
Would
could
they?
do
I
that.
mean, that's what I'm thinking of doing. But
So,
I
so
think-
I don't want to support a revolution here. Everybody's going to make their own decisions. And I mean, the work that National does is important. The work that the State League does is important. The work that the local league does is important. And figuring out what the right balance, I would think, would be an ongoing discussion. So,
Yep.
um,
And
And-
don't forget, I'm sorry, from the national level, we do receive grants, which
mhm.
this will
Right.
generate more opportunity to let the world know what we do, how many members we have, and will increase our grant opportunities. Sorry,
Right.
Alice, go ahead.
No, it's fine. I grew up in a large family. I sort of expect to be interrupted. The changing to the doing the percentages as the dues are paid, I actually think makes it easier in the future to negotiate and adapt those percentages. If it turns out that 20% for local is just not right, and 47 for state is too much, I don't know. I mean, there's one pie, it can only be split, one way, or, you can only split the whole pie. You can't split more than that. But that kind of negotiation could happen on a going forward basis. It's not an all or nothing. We don't do the transformation because we don't like it. We modify the transformation if it's not working. Other questions?
We do encourage all the other leagues on this call to put the information on your website, because right now it might be oblivious to many members, but as soon as they get that first email, they're going to question, what is this?
Yeah.
And like many software developments, it's coming right down to the minute. They're still developing, even during training. And I'm not surprised, but we didn't see the final version of the questions or the final versions of what the portal pages would look like. So there will be learning for all of us as we go through this.
And I do believe we have an FAQ on our website that can answer some questions. We encourage you to put that on yours.
Mhm.
And names like chapter spot, what is it?
Chapter Spot, which that's the brand name of the software that the National League is using. But once it's posted, I mean, it's like if you do your website on Squarespace, or GoDaddy, you don't put that all over your website, right? That's just the tool you're using to get the job done. And so I believe that everything will be branded League of Women Voters. Other questions, comments?
Okay, with that, we invite you to even join our office hours. Go to our website. We encourage you to do the same. And we thank you all for attending. And I lost the bet. I thought 75 people would be here. But thank you. You are the core and you're going to spread the word. So thank you very much and have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Alice,
Thank
Karen,
you all.
and Laura.
Thank you.
We're gonna stay positive.
Bye-bye.
Bye.